Apple's 13-inch MacBook Air with M4, 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16GB unified memory, 512GB SSD, silver, is very much the default Mac for 2025. Thin, light, quiet, and now a lot more capable than older Airs. This configuration sits in the sweet spot of the range, with enough memory and storage for serious work but still framed as an ultra-portable rather than a pro workstation. Here's an unbiased look at what it does well, where it falls short, and who it's really for. Design, build, and portability. The M4 Air keeps the same wedgeless design introduced with the M2 generation, a flat, slim aluminum chassis that's 11.97 x 8.46 x 0.44 inches and about 1.24 kilotons, 2.7 lb. Apple support. It's extremely portable, and this silver finish is the classic MacBook look if you don't care about the newer sky blue or midnight colors. Build quality is excellent. No flex in the deck, solid hinge, and one of the best trackpads in any laptop. The backlit Magic Keyboard is still comfortable with good travel, and a reliable fingerprint Touch ID sensor. Apple support. There's nothing radical here, but it feels refined and premium. The big advantage of the Airline remains fanless cooling. No matter what you do, it's silent. That's great for cafes, meetings, or classrooms, though it has performance implications under long, heavy loads. More on that later. Display, speakers, and webcam. The 13-inch model actually uses a 13.6-inch liquid retina display at 2560x 1664, 500 nits brightness, P3 wide color, and support for 1 billion colors. Apple support. It's sharp and color accurate enough for photo work, code, and content creation. Reviewers generally praise the screen as bright and vibrant for an LCD panel. However, it's still 60 Hz in LCD, not the 120 Hz mini LED XDR panel you get on the MacBook Pro. If you care about ultra-smooth scrolling, HDR peak brightness, or working in direct sunlight a lot, that's a notable difference. Audio is handled by a 4-speaker system with support for spatial audio and Dolby Atmos. For such a thin machine, speakers are surprisingly full and loud. They're more than good enough for Netflix, YouTube, and video calls, though they don't quite match the richer 6-speaker setups in the larger Pro models. A big quality-of-life upgrade versus older Airs is the 12MP webcam with center stage, which tracks you in frame during calls. Combined with Apple's image processing, reviewers note a clear step up from the 1080p cameras of previous generations, which helps if you're on Zoom or Teams all day. Performance: M4 chip, 16GB RAM, 512GB SSD. This particular configuration uses the M4 with 10-core CPU, 4 performance plus 6 efficiency cores, and 10-core GPU, paired with 16GB unified memory and a 512GB SSD. It's a step above the base Air, which has an 8-core GPU and 256GB SSD. In everyday tasks, web, office, Google Workspace, note-taking, light photo edits, coding, and loads of browser tabs, the M4 Air is effectively instant. Independent testing finds roughly 20% gains over the M3 Air in CPU and GPU benchmarks, which you mostly feel in snappier app launches and heavy multitasking. The Verge. The 16GB RAM is key. Many criticisms of older base Airs were about the 8GB config. Now 16GB is standard on M4, and your chosen spec is very comfortable for Xcode or VS Code with multiple projects, Lightroom, Photoshop with big RAW files, several Electron apps, plus many browser tabs, occasional 4K video edits in Final Cut or Resolve. The 512GB SSD is also a practical minimum for 2025. You get more space and slightly better performance than the 256GB base drive, which some reviewers still consider constraining. The Verge. If you keep lots of local photos or video files, 512GB is a smarter starting point. Thermals and sustained loads. Because the M4 Air is fanless, it will throttle under long, heavy, fully loaded workloads, long 4K exports, 3D rendering, big Xcode builds. Stress tests show it can maintain high performance for a while, before gradually dropping clocks to keep temperatures in check. For most people, that doesn't matter. But if you do professional video work or heavy 3D, a MacBook Pro with active cooling still makes more sense. Battery life. Apple claims up to 18 hours of video playback and around 15 hours of wireless web. Independent reviews land in the 15-17 hour range for mixed office use, Wi-Fi on, brightness at reasonable levels, which is excellent and often better than comparable Windows Ultrabooks. In practice, that means a full workday plus commute without hunting for a charger. Weekend use, email, streaming, light editing, on a single charge. No meaningful performance dip on battery versus plugged in. The 10-core GPU models ship with a 35W dual USB-C power adapter, which can charge the laptop and another small device. Fast charge is possible with a 70W brick if you buy it separately. Ports, connectivity, and external displays. Ports are simple. 2x Thunderbolt 4, USB-C. MagSafe 3 for charging. 3.5mm headphone jack with support for high-impedance headphones. The big change versus older Apple Silicon Airs, native support for 2 external displays, up to 6K 60Hz each, plus the internal display via Thunderbolt 4. Previously, Air models were limited to one external monitor, which was a deal-breaker for many office users. If you run dual QHD 4K monitors on your desk, this M4 Air finally handles that without hacks. Wireless is up to date with Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, so networking and accessory support are solid. The downside, you still don't get an HDMI port, SD card reader, or any legacy USB-A. For photographers, videographers, or people with lots of peripherals, you'll almost certainly want a USB-C hub or dock. Software and Apple Intelligence. Out of the box, the M4 Air runs macOS Sequoia with Apple's new Apple Intelligence features, on-device AI tools for writing help, summarization, image tweaks, etc., powered by the 16-core neural engine. If you're already in the Apple ecosystem, iPhone, iPad, Watch, the continuity features, iCloud, iMessage, AirDrop, handoff, iPhone mirroring, make this laptop feel very integrated. If you need Windows-only software or certain games though, you'll have to use cloud remote solutions. Dual boot isn't supported, and game availability on macOS is still limited compared with Windows. Value and competition. Pricing varies by region, but broadly this spec, 10-core GPU, 16GB, 512GB, sits in the upper mid-range of laptops. Reviewers often call the M4 Air the best laptop for most people because it combines high real-world performance, class-leading battery life, excellent build quality and trackpad, now standard 16GB RAM, at a price that, while not cheap, undercuts equivalent MacBook Pro models and a lot of premium Windows Ultrabooks once you match memory and storage. Where Windows machines compete strongly is in OLED or 120Hz+ displays in this price bracket. More ports, HDMI, SD, multiple USB-A. Better native support for certain pro apps and PC gaming. So it's not universally best, but within the Apple ecosystem and for general productivity creative light work, it's an extremely strong package. Positive points of the Apple MacBook Air: 13-inch Apple M4 chip with 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU, 16GB shared memory, 512GB, silver. Excellent performance for an ultra-portable thanks to the M4 chip and 10-core GPU, easily handling everyday work, coding, and moderate creative tasks. 16GB unified memory as standard avoids the RAM bottlenecks seen on older 8GB base models and should age better. 512GB SSD is a more practical and slightly faster option than the 256GB base drive for real-world use. 13.6-inch Liquid Retina display is bright, color-accurate, and supports 1 billion colors, great for content, coding, and photo work. Outstanding battery life, often 15 to 17 hours of mixed use, and completely silent fanless design. Now supports 2 external 6K displays in addition to the built-in screen, fixing a major limitation of previous Air models. Improved 12MP center stage webcam and solid mics make it very good for video calls. Classic premium aluminum build and excellent keyboard trackpad with lightweight portability at 1.24 kg. Negative points of the Apple MacBook Air: 13-inch Apple M4 chip with 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU, 16GB shared memory, 512GB, silver. Only 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports, no HDMI or SD card slot, so many users will need a hub or dock. Fanless design can throttle under sustained heavy workloads, making it less suitable for long 4K exports or demanding 3D work compared with MacBook Pro models. 60Hz LCD display only, no promotion, 120Hz or mini LED HDR, while some Windows competitors offer OLED 120Hz at similar prices. Non-upgradable RAM and SSD, soldered, so you're locked into your chosen 16GB 512GB config for the lifetime of the machine. macOS and Apple Silicon ecosystem may not suit users who depend on specific Windows-only software or AAPC gaming. If you're primarily after a light, long-lasting, quiet laptop for work, study, and light creative tasks, and you're happy in Apple's world, this particular MacBook Air M4 configuration is a very strong, well-balanced choice.